Okay, first video in the series I call Adventures of Minion, Bob, and Max. I'm Max, and that's Bob. He's a minion. So what's the purpose of this thing? It's really like threefold. It's to experiment with conversation design, knowledge management, and context management, to document some work so I can review my work in the future and see the progress, and then to share with anybody who wants to see it. In case somebody's wondering why I pick conversation design, knowledge management, and context management, pretty simple, straightforward reason. According to DARPA, they see AI development in like three phases. There's rule-based systems, or handcrafted knowledge as they call it. There is statistical learning systems, which is what we're kind of experiencing now, aka machine learning is the buzzword. And the next wave is context adaptation, meaning systems that are like contextually aware. They can see the world around them and model it, more importantly. Kind of the thing that gives us the edge right now as human beings, is we can model the things around us in one way, shape, or form. So given some of those developments, I figured it would be a good time to give it a good old college try and recruit Bob to help me out. So what is Bob besides just a cute minion? So he's being designed as an expert system. That's how I have him set up. And the expert system, in a nutshell, it has three main components: user interface, inference engine, and knowledge repository. In this case, it uses natural language processing techniques provided by our friends over at Google via Dialogflow. So it takes input from the user, which is free flow text. The inference engine infers what is the user's intent. So this whole process of designing the thing is very human-centered, trying to figure out like what is the user trying to accomplish. And then ultimately executes one of the scripts that I have running in Google Cloud Functions using JavaScript and Node.js to simulate some more complex logic. If it's something simple, it just kind of kicks out the answer from Dialogflow. So that's what Bob is really in a nutshell. But most of the stuff the user does not see. So what does the user see? So here's Bob. Pretty simple interface, I think. 2 pages, just home, knowledge page. At the time of this recording, coming soon still. So maybe this will be the first video I'll post. A chat box. And we can take a closer look at Bob. So I like to put demos. It's easier to just kind of show rather than talk about it. So since this is an intro video, I figured it would be appropriate to just talk about introduction, why the system should introduce itself, and ultimately the other thing called capability check. So some of the stuff I was reading that was coming out of IBM research is that every intelligent system should be able to introduce itself. So as I come to the system, I'm the designer, I know what it can do, but an average user might not know what to do. And so capability check becomes very critical because it allows the user to start understanding what the system can do. How can I, as the user, extract value out of the system, right? So in this case, I should be able to type in something simple like, what can you do? And he gives me a little message that says he can introduce himself. He can look up some stock prices, and he can show you examples of rich content, which is all I have modeled out on him right now. He's kind of an evolving system as we're going to build him out over this course the next couple of months. But the other part of it, besides this capability check, is introduction. And so introduction is kind of important too. It's not just a nicety. So I can type in, tell me about yourself. And he gives you a crafty message that yours truly here designed, obviously. But there's a couple of key pieces about introduction that's very valuable to the user. Number one, it starts to develop a purpose for the system. So this is a just for fun application, but if this was a business application like for airlines or something like that, the system can introduce itself, or instead of having an opener that says, hi, how are you? It can say, hey, I can help you do X, Y, Z. So right away, step one, it starts to deliver that value to the user. It starts to fulfill the user's knowledge gaps, assuming that the user doesn't know anything about the system. And so that's provides some knowledge to the user and allows them to understand how to take advantage of the system functionality to get even more value out of it. So that's why introduction is so important. The other piece that I'm exploiting here is introduction can be used to start developing persona or a character for your system, because some of these things, as I'll mention in subsequent videos about conversation design, it's very difficult to convey tone, for example, over text, because we were missing a lot of other sensory inputs like intonations. I don't see the actual person. You can see me here on camera, but you can't see Bob. So developing that persona allows you to start capturing the tone, the overall vibe, that experience or at least creating the experience from the designer's perspective for the user. So that's why introduction is very, very critical. It's not just a nicety. There's a lot of things that you can kind of think through in terms of designing an introduction and designing a capability check that allows you to provide ultimately a better user experience. And a lot of these videos will be centered around a human-centered design approach. So not a systems kind of a viewpoint, but more a user viewpoint. How can we get more value to the user and make user experience better? So just to keep it on a kind of a light note, future expectations for these videos. So number one, they're going to be very value focused, kind of like what I just did, a very quick down and dirty demo of introduction and capability check, and trying to talk about what is the business value? How does it create value? There's plenty of videos out there that are more technical, that are more on programming or mathematics. I'm not going to talk through like Bayesian statistics. I'm not going to talk through reinforced learning. We're not going to do neural nets here. I'm not going to do like regression modeling. Okay, maybe. Maybe. But it's more like, how does the application help people? How does it deliver value? And that's what I'm going to focus on, mostly on modeling, more higher level design type stuff. How do we create that user experience? How do we manipulate the user's mind, and how do we manipulate their perception ultimately to give them that delightful user experience? And where does the delight come from? Anyway, generally I'm going to try to keep the videos 5 to 10 minutes because I don't want to ramble on. And a lot of these things are going to be a little bit research backed. And I'll provide references at the end. So it's not just me kind of giving an opinion. It's usually me just regurgitating what somebody more qualified than me said or researched. And more importantly, I'm not going to try to have too many slides, but more like focus it around the demo. So the idea here is to read some stuff, kind of learn some stuff, maybe design a process, design some sort of a simulation with Bob, model it out, implement it real quickly, thanks to our friends over at Google that provide infrastructure as code, and then make a video to share it with whoever wants to and document some work. So that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Adventures of Minion, Bob, and Max.